Welcome to the Wyoming Women's Business Center's 2021 webinar series. Today's presentation is Post-Pandemic Marketing, 5 New Rules for Your Business. My name is Jessica Brower, and I'll be your speaker today. Before we get started, I want to point out to those of you live on the call today, the Zoom control panel, which should be at the top or bottom of your screen. I want to call attention to both the questions and the chat function. If you have any comments or questions throughout the webinar today, I'd like you to use those to communicate with me. This webinar is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be sent out to all registrants shortly after the live event today. You can also visit our website at www.wyomingwomen.org and navigate to the training tab to view all upcoming webinars and past webinar recordings. If you are watching this webinar live, a survey will launch shortly after we close the presentation. Please complete the survey, as this provides us and our funding partners with valuable information. And as a reminder, all participants are muted to minimize background noise. So once again, if you have any questions or comments during the presentation, please type them in the chat box or questions panel. So before I get started on the presentation, let's go over some quick information about the WWBC, just in case you aren't familiar with us already. The WWBC is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to enable and empower Wyoming entrepreneurs, with a special emphasis on women who are economically and socially disadvantaged. We do that through 4 distinct programs. The first is our business counseling and training program, which is always free. The second is our microfinance program, which offers microloans. Third is the Artist Development Center we run in conjunction with the Works of Wyoming store in downtown Laramie. And lastly, we launched our COVID-19 support program last spring and wrapped that up at the beginning of this month after supporting over 440 businesses with resources and grant dollars. I want to call special attention to these services available to you as a Wyoming business owner when you become a client of the WWBC if you're not already. You can sign up by going to wyomingwomen.org or contacting us directly for more information. You'll find a contact email and phone number at the end of this presentation. So with that, let's get started. So I built this presentation after an article from the Harvard Business Review by Janet Ballas called 10 Truths About Marketing After the Pandemic. And this is an article I'd highly suggest checking out if you find this content today interesting, since we only are going to go over about half of it. And then with the idea that we're here as small businesses in Wyoming, meaning most of us are in very small rural towns, and the landscape looks a little bit different than that of a company in, a tech company somewhere in an urban city or something like that. So we're going to look at it through a slightly different lens. So it's no secret that this last year changed everything in all facets of our world, but especially in the business landscape. We could talk endlessly about the things that changed, but some of those are that online presence is critical for a business. This is where people are at, and this is where people want to shop, regardless of what it is they're looking for. Customers really want to trust a brand. We had a tough year and really got to know one another, for better or for worse, and customers learned that they want to have a brand that resonates with them and their lifestyle and their values, and that has become very important. Messaging is necessary, constant messaging. Marketing and messaging is always important, as communication is key. However, as things rapidly changed over the course of the last year, it was very important for businesses to communicate with their customers what was changing, how they were reacting, what to expect, how to continue to support them. Without messaging, many folks would just disappear. And another change has been that convenience is king. This has been true in the past, of course, but we really learned this last year that we want the convenience of having the ability to shop or get something delivered right from the comfort of our home. We now know that that's a thing that we can get, and it's going to be hard to come away from that. So these are just a few things that have changed. I'm sure we all could think of many others. So let's go ahead and dive into these rules. So the first one, the old rule says, customers hope you have what they want. And the new rule, according to that article I shared, is customers expect you to have what they want. So like I said, convenience is king. With online retailers and big box stores, consumers are used to getting everything and everything almost instantaneously. And this can be one of the most daunting parts of trying to run a small business, knowing you're in direct competition with multi-billion-dollar corporations that can drop anything a human possibly wants on their doorstep within 48 hours. And over the last year, we got really used to having everything we need delivered to us with relative ease. However, I think a thing that's important to know is that small businesses have a leg up on the big stores. While you cannot guarantee you will have the exact thing a customer wants when they want it, the way that Amazon can, you can cultivate a rich relationship face to face with those customers. And this is a thing that giant businesses are working hard to do every day with technology and marketing. And you get to do it with boots on the ground in your store, from your office, in your community. And that's powerful. So I've rewritten this rule to say, instead of customers hoping you want what they hope you have what they want, or instead of expecting you to have what they want. Instead, I think our small business customers want us to know what they need. Customers want to come to you with a need and for you to have an answer. I'm having a party and I need to feed 15 kids. What should I do? I'm going to a wedding and I need a dress. What's new in your store? I'm sick of my hair. Help me change it up. I'm sick of how my office looks. I want to decorate. What are your ideas? I want to start working out or doing yoga. What classes should I take? My business is expanding and I need some help with copywriting, marketing, photography, videography, whatever. What can you do for me? Customers want you to have an answer for the need that they have. And this leads me to the next rule. The old rule, relationships matter. The new rule, relationships are everything. Deep trust is at the heart of a quality customer and company relationship. Whether that's in a business to consumer or a business to business scenario, customers want to know that they are in good hands. This last year made that even more true as we all knew we were navigating uncharted waters. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what was ahead. We didn't know what we needed. But we wanted to be giving our dollars to companies who were responding to the rapid changes in the business landscape and in our communities with integrity, with ingenuity. And that asks a lot of a business. That asks a lot of a human being. So in many instances, perfection is impossible. Really, in all instances, perfection is impossible. But humility and dedication to the customers is key. And this looks like clear and genuine conversations, listening and responding with integrity and respect. So here are some examples here from some businesses in Saratoga and Laramie. You'll see on the left here is an announcement about a restaurant and bar here that closed due to a positive test of COVID-19, explaining what they were doing, how they were moving through testing, and letting folks know what to expect. The two in the middle are from two restaurants, one here in Laramie, one in Saratoga, both of which who temporarily closed due to the situation at hand. Having a slow first quarter and not really being able to respond in any other way than to take a temporary pause. Both really, really difficult things to do. But look at the engagement on these posts. People responded. People showed up. People respected that these conversations were started. And then on the right is a mask update from a yoga studio, just letting their clientele know what to expect as changes happen with the mask updates. I think these two industries represent some of the businesses that were most affected by the pandemic, both the food and service industry, as well as gyms and yoga studios, places where people gather for fitness. They were under constant changes from rules from the state, and they had to react quickly and then communicate that to their customers, all while trying to run a business, which is difficult. There's no way around that. So this last year forced us all to have these really hard conversations with our customers. And in the end, I truly believe that builds a stronger bond. And I think that's true in a pandemic or not in a pandemic. And I'm willing to guarantee in these examples and in many, many more, For every hard conversation that was had, a more loyal customer was retained. A person came back to these restaurants, came back to this yoga studio, and remembered that they had this hard conversation, that they weren't trying to pull the wool over their eyes, that they let them know what was going on. And that led to a stronger relationship. And that's how you keep customers with you. So next, the old rule, your brand should stand behind great products. The new rule, your brand should stand behind great values. 2020 was a tumultuous year, and that truly tested brand loyalty as customers became more dedicated to being aware. This means that many began to dig deep into the values of companies that they know and maybe even previously loved, and then make the decision on whether they wanted to continue to support them or not. These values included everything from social responsibility to sustainability, ethical sourcing, employee care, and the list goes on and on and on. Large corporations spend a lot of time thinking about brand values as they're made up of large networks of humans representing the brand. However, small companies and solopreneurs may not spend as much time thinking about this. However, that doesn't mean that they don't exist. It doesn't mean just because you haven't thought about it, just because you don't have brand values painted on your wall, doesn't mean you don't have them. You definitely have them. So regardless of your company size, it's important in quality marketing to touch on your company values in a variety of ways, because this attracts your ideal audience and solidifies that relationship with those customers. And when it comes to any marketing campaign or marketing strategy, I always encourage any business organization, regardless of what industry they're in, to start with a deep dive into the ideal audience, which includes asking questions like, how does this person spend their money? What does their life look like? Look beyond the socioeconomic data and into their lifestyle and figuring out what's important to them and figuring out how your company is in alignment with that. So here are some examples of how some businesses weaved their brand values into their marketing. So on the left, they're talking about World Environment Day. Sustainability is something that's important to this company. You'd see this in their content throughout their marketing. And so they just use this as an opportunity to remind people of that. Similarly, there's an Earth Day post with an update on being able to accept personal reusable mugs, which was a big thing in the pandemic. And I know many people were bummed about that. There was a lot more paper waste, clamshells for takeout foods, and that kind of thing. So this was both an exciting update in response to the hard year and also a reminder of, hey, this is important to us. This is a part of our business. We accept these mugs. We want to accept these mugs, and we're really excited to be able to do it again and to help reduce waste. Next up is the Nest here, and she's talking about her cleaning procedures for her toy library and reminding people that sanitation and toy cleaning is incredibly important to them. And it's a great way to just remind people that this is a part of the business, this is something that's important to us, and to let them know what the process looks like. And then last is an event in correlation with Laramie Pride Fest, which is a month-long Pride celebration. And this business is hosting an event which just lets their customers and those who maybe are new to them, who find them through the Pride Fest marketing, that they're in support of this event. Next up, old rule, courting customers is like dating. New rule, courting customers is like online dating. I have said forever and ever that marketing is much like dating. There's an awkward get to know you phase, followed by a much more entertaining courting phase where you start to learn more about one another, and the magic comes of this. And much like online dating has its blunders, online courting of customers has its blunders. And connecting to customers has always been key. That's the main thing here. Cultivating genuine conversation that leads to a vested interest in your product or service or your organization, your mission, whatever it is you're doing. That's how you gain and retain good customers. much like creating intrigue around yourself in a date or in your dating profile in an online dating app. So, in the last year, our hopes for connection haven't changed at all, but more than ever, we want to suss out what there is to love about you from the comfort of our home. So, how can you create intrigue in an online space? I want you to think about a good date you've been on and think about a bad date you've been on. If you've participated in online dating, then also think about a good online profile you've seen and think about a bad online profile you've seen. Most of it is pretty simple. So before you ever connect in person, we're thinking about a profile, how you're presenting yourself. It's attention to detail, clear and concise communication, quality visuals, complete information. It's not full of typos. You're letting people know the information they need. You're providing them imagery that is clear and not fuzzy or graphics that are hard to read. You're just giving them what they need to actually analyze if they want to move forward or not. And then during, the most important, honestly, is to listen. Just listen. What are they saying? What do they need? What are the questions that they're asking? Where are they feeling confused? How can you listen and then provide? Next, after that, you're following up, you're delivering as promised, you're not totally disappearing on them. You're being respectful, you're appreciating their time, and you're moving forward in a way that feels genuine and authentic to the relationship that you're cultivating. So I think this is important to remember, and it looks different business to business, but really I encourage you most to just think about, how am I presenting myself? What is that first look um, that a person is getting of me and my business, and is it making the impression that I want? Are they clicking on a link and it's going somewhere that I don't want them to go? Are they seeing a old logo that I don't actually like that much? Are they seeing a paragraph that I didn't double check for typos, so I just look a little lazy? Those are really important, and I think taking just a little extra time to polish that up can make all the difference in the world. So lastly, old rule, agility is a technology process. New rule, agility is a modern marketing approach. My God, has this been proven to us this year. So what does agility look like? Well, it starts with a constant attention to the customer as well as the marketplace. You're looking at what the customer is saying, what they're responding to, where they're frustrated, where they're excited, but you're also looking at the landscape around you. You're looking at the community, you're looking at trends, you're understanding what's shifting. You're not putting your head down and just working, because then you're becoming blind to what's happening. So one of the worst things a business could have done in this last year, which remains to be true regardless of what the global landscape is to stay unresponsive or stagnant. In a chaotic time, those who couldn't adjust, they were just left behind, unfortunately. However, those who adjusted and restructured and left behind their old systems for a newer, more responsive effort to their customer and their needs, they fared much better. And they made shifts in their business that maybe have made really profound impact on how they're showing up in their community and how they're moving forward. So here are some examples. On the left, we have Saratoga Sandwich Company, and they have online ordering. They also have pickup. So you could order online and then just grab and go. This was a thing we saw in the restaurant industry in a variety of ways. We saw curbside pickup, we saw delivery, we saw adjusted menus, we saw cocktails to go, we saw so many shifts to make it so customers could still support their favorite restaurants and bars when they weren't allowed to be in those restaurants and bars. And I think these technologies will stay with us as we move into a more normal year. And I think those businesses that were unable to recognize the need to shift, who were unable to be agile enough to change, my guess is they struggled a lot and will continue to struggle as this becomes the new norm. Here in the middle, this is an example of a reusable pint glass. Here in Laramie, we opened up the open container in the downtown district on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays in the afternoons and evenings. So instead of sitting in a bar and having a cocktail or a beer, you could get a drink to go and walk around downtown. So sit in the park or the plaza, or do some window shopping, which was a way to continue to support the bars and restaurants while not having crowds. And so a lot of the breweries have responded by making these stainless glasses, because we did this last year and everybody realized, gosh, there's a lot of trash, and we feel kind of gross about that. So they responded, they created these cups. And now when you go out on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you see all these people who are walking around and have these cups in their purses or their backpacks or whatever. And it's really created a cultural shift, which I think probably will stay in the community for a long time to come. This is a thing that the community has come to really enjoy. And that's a shift that was made because a community and a business were able to look at a scenario and to adjust, versus to drive their heels into the ground and say, this isn't how we did it before, we're not going to change. Instead, they changed, and it was successful. And then on the right here is an example of a pharmacy here in town, which got a delivery vehicle in the last few months or so. So now they're able to deliver things from the pharmacy, whether that's prescriptions or things that maybe you need and you can't get out of your home because you're caretaking for somebody, because you're sick, because you're social distancing, whatever. This was all in response to the year we lived before. And now it's a convenience that a community is going to get used to and to expect. And my guess is, I haven't talked to this business, but my guess is there is a customer base that is incredibly loyal to them, because what a gift when you're at home sick by yourself or with kids and you can't get out, and you can get your medicine delivered to you, and that just saves you that hassle. You're going to remember that. That's going to stick with you, and you're going to go back and you're going to be loyal. And that's exactly what we want. Another couple of examples, again, in the fitness and yoga realm here, are businesses. These businesses both responded to the pandemic by offering online classes as well as outdoor classes. So here on the left is Studio Thrive. They did Zoom classes all throughout this last year, and I believe they still are continuing to, because I imagine people have become quite fond of those. And then the yoga studio did yoga in the park on the weekends, so people were able to spread out and not be in a tight studio next to each other. And I know they also are continuing to do that because people became so excited about this opportunity. Okay, so that was a lot of information pretty quickly. So I would love to open up for questions if you have any. So go ahead and type those in the chat if you do. And while you go over that, I'm going to go over some information from our funding partners. The Wyoming Women's Business Center is made possible through several partnership agencies. The center's primary funding comes from the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Wyoming Business Council. And we are so thankful for the support and guidance of our partners and look forward to the work ahead. As promised, here is that contact information for our business counselor. If you're interested in getting some individualized business counseling, you can reach out to him, Jonathan. His contact information is here. And be sure to visit our website at wyomingwomen.org to learn about all of our services, or to fill out our online intake form to become a client. It's very quick and easy. And if you enjoyed these webinars, we have lots of topics coming up. Remember to visit our website to register for those webinars under the training tab. Next week, we have a presentation on how to maximize seasonality in your business. And then next month, we're focusing on business networking. So we have another set of webinars that will be talking about this topic. So I'll go ahead and go back to this contact information slide just in case you didn't get a chance to write that down, and I'll check to see if there's any questions in the chat. And it looks like we're all good. So when we close this webinar today, a survey is going to pop up on your screen. It's a quick 5-question survey, and I ask that you stay online and complete it for us. We read every survey, and it helps us plan our upcoming calendar and improve our offerings. Thank you so much for attending, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.